What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Thursday. Going to have a great show today. Austin Stanley and Jack Gentry talking Titans and talking about the comments that were made yesterday at the Titans press conference where they had head coach Brian Callahan, offensive coordinator Nick Holtz, and defensive coordinator Denard Wilson all speak on day 3 of the team's offseason workout program there, as well at St. Thomas Sports Park. And really, I think the main thing that caught our ear here on the show is what was said about Treylon Burks and then what was not said about Treylon Burks by two of the Titans coaches there at the podium yesterday. So we're going to discuss if the Titans coaches unofficially put wide receiver Treylon Burks on notice with those press conference comments. We'll play both videos for you guys from head coach Brian Callahan and then also from offensive coordinator Nick Holtz at the podium yesterday. Ask you guys a question about that is what's one word to describe Treylon Burks' standing with the Titans heading into the draft, which I think is going to be an interesting seeing what kind of vocab word everybody comes up with when it comes to that. Then we'll discuss maybe what the key is to unlocking Treylon Burks for a bounce back season in year 3 with the Titans. It's a Thursday, Jack, which means the Magic Bucket is here. So we will do the Magic Bucket towards the end of the show. But welcome in. This is going to be a good show. I know people love talking about Treylon Burks and love talking about what Treylon Burks has and hasn't done. So welcome in, Jack. Let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here on this Thursday, Magic Bucket Thursday. We're going to talk a little Treylon Burks like Austin just mentioned. And I know that's a guy all of you guys have opinions on. So let's go ahead and get into it. While we're filing in here, let's make sure we're liking the show, throwing a thumbs up on YouTube and Facebook. I see over 150 of you guys in here right now, only 14 likes. I know we can do better than that. Let's get up to 50 here in the next few minutes. So drop a thumbs up while you're watching. If you're on Facebook, share the show as well. Let's do our homework. Let's share the show. Sharing is caring. Share the show to your Titans Facebook groups so we can bring in a bigger audience, have a bigger discussion, and take the temperature of the Titans fan base on these hot button issues like we're about to do. Next, if we're watching on YouTube, make sure you turn your notifications on by tapping the bell icon near the top of your screen. You do not want to miss an update anytime A to Z Sports goes live or posts any Titans content to their YouTube channel, especially in the month of April, guys. I mean, this is a season of news right now. We're in the middle of it. We're in the weeds right now. So turn your notifications on if you're watching on YouTube. Finally, if you're watching on Twitch, text that Twitch link around to your Titans text groups. Let's bring everybody in here we possibly can. It helps grow the show. It helps grow the audience. All of that is good for A to Z Sports. All of that is good for the chat. So let's work together today. Share the show. Sharing is caring. Like the show. And Austin, talking about the show, let's get the show on the road.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Jack Gentry of the Tighten Up Podcast, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process, or see them in Lebanon at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. They are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans and get a quote for you today with our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations across the mid-state in Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. They're online at KrebsKubota.com. So we're discussing Treylon Burks today, the comments about the wide receiver position from Brian Callahan, and then also the comments that Nick Holtz, the offensive coordinator, made when directly asked about Treylon Burks is what we're going to get into here. But that press conference yesterday, I thought it was nearly an hour long with both the head coach, offensive and defensive coordinators. I think there's a lot of topics to get through. We'll peel through all those and have those comments to use over the next couple of weeks as we are officially, Jack, 2 weeks away from the NFL draft day for the round 1 of the NFL draft. Just 2 weeks away. We're getting closer. So finally, we're going to have some answers in a couple of weeks. And I do know this. Sam published his 2-round mock draft on A to Z Sports.com. It's on our social media out there this morning, so you can go check that out. And a little tease for you guys to check out Sam's mock for later. Sam made a trade for the Titans, and he got 3 starters in the top 50 picks. I'll leave it at that, and I'll let you guys go do some reading after the show. Real quick, King VC jumps in here with a super chat and says, chat, I was gone for one day, and the likes were down. Lock in, like the show. That is all. VC, appreciate you for being our like King VC on the show here. But, Jack, let's dive into Treylon Burks and what was said or not said about him in the wide receiver position. We will begin with what Brian Callahan said when Sam asked Brian Callahan a question that we actually talked about on yesterday morning's show of, hey, Sam, you should ask Brian Callahan about what they're looking at the wide receiver position and what skill sets they want to add maybe on in the group that's not already there. And here's that back and forth with Sam and head coach Brian Callahan.
Wide receivers after adding Calvin to that group, how open are you to still adding to that room, and are there any skill sets or traits in particular that you feel like you might currently be lacking?
No, I think you're always open to adding to those spots. I mean, we have to have someone emerge for us at the slot position receiver when we're in 11 personnel. That's one that we got some young players I'm excited to take a look at with obviously Kyle Phillips. Mason Kinsey's been around here a little bit. He's shown his mettle. Obviously, Nick Westbrook-Akine has been involved in some of those spots over his career. So trying to find someone to emerge in that spot. You got guys that you're trying to always build youth and depth as well. And so those things are in constant flux. You're always trying to have another guy ready to roll. You need depth at every position. That's not just the receivers, but you're always open to those guys. And again, guys that are fast, explosive, and physical, you can't have enough of them.
So there is Brian Callahan. Sam asked the question, what are you maybe looking for to add at the wide receiver position that you might be lacking? And Brian Callahan went to the slot position, needing someone to step up in the slot. And he mentioned 3 names: Kyle Phillips, Mason Kinsey, and Nick Westbrook-Akine. He did not mention Ridley or Hopkins. He did not mention Colton Dowell, who's recovering from an ACL tear late in the season. He also did not mention Treylon Burks. And I think it's worth noting that Treylon Burks in the slot at Arkansas was very successful. Mm-hmm. Part of what made Treylon Burks a first-round draft pick was his production and big playability in college, and a lot of that did come from the slot position. So I did think it was an interesting thing to kind of just clock mentally of like, okay, if there's 11 personnel that Brian Callahan mentioned, and you know that the best 2 wide receivers on the roster by far are Ridley and Hopkins, there's a third wide receiver on the field in 11 personnel and trying to find that slot guy. And Treylon Burks was not one of the 3 names mentioned. Jack, how did you feel about what Brian Callahan said there?
Yeah, I mean, it really just felt like Callahan was talking about the other guys in that wide receiver room, right? He left off Treylon Burks. That's what we're talking about today. But, I mean, he also left out, like you said, D-Hop and Calvin Ridley. So it's not like he's forgotten about Burks or Ridley or Hopkins. I just think that he was taking that time in that question to address, the other guys on the Titans roster, because I feel like, he kind of knows what skill sets Burks, Ridley, and Hopkins bring to the table, while the other guys are kind of Swiss Army knives. They can kind of get in where they fit in. So I don't think it's a personal shot at Burks. I don't think it's a motivational. I don't think this was a tactical, answer to get Burks fired up and motivate him for the season. But I just think that, the Titans are going to need more out of Burks. And Brian Callahan knows that. What we do know about Brian Callahan is he typically puts his players in positions that cater to their strengths. And like you mentioned, Burks at Arkansas was a world beater. There was a reason why he was a first-round pick coming out of Arkansas. There was a reason why he was drawing comparisons to superstar wide receivers like Deebo Samuel. And, it's been unfortunate with the injuries that have kind of derailed his momentum ever since he came to Tennessee. But I don't think that Treylon Burks' story is finished. I think that there's a lot left to write here in Nashville for Treylon Burks. It's about using him properly. And I'm going to get into how they can do that here later in the show.
Okay.
But I don't think that this is a big shot at Burks just from Callahan not mentioning him in that discussion right there.
All right. I do think there's something else before we hear from Nick Holtz. There's something else that's been going on in the chat. I've seen it on social media. Pistol Ramsey says the chat is already on fire, and a little fire truck emoji there. So I do see something that's going on about Treylon Burks that I initially planned to not discuss here, but I do think it's worth bringing up. So we'll get to that before we get to Nick Holtz's comments and our original question for everybody. But first, I want to tell all of you guys about our great friends at Krebs Kubota. KrebsKubota.com is where you guys should turn for all of your equipment needs. Spring games are going around in college football this weekend, which means, oh man, you got to start cutting the grass. You got to start taking care of the yard, mow the lawn, trim the lawn, whatever that is around your home. You got to start getting ready for that. And Krebs Kubota can be your equipment provider across Middle Tennessee, one you can trust, one that can be convenient for you. They've got all of the great and the best equipment in the industry because they are an elite Kubota dealer. To go along with that, they have the best warranties in the industry as being an elite Kubota dealer. And they're also family owned and operated. They've been able to grow over the 18 years of business from just having a shop in Columbia, then being able to expand to Franklin and Murfreesboro stores as well. They are the best in Middle Tennessee. So whatever you have going on with your home, your residential property, or maybe even your business and commercial property to buy equipment, rent equipment for a project, Krebs Kubota is where to turn. Online at KrebsKubota.com.
BetMGM.com, guys. There's a ton of action going on right now across the sports world. NHL playoffs are heating up. The Preds have clinched. There's a ton of stuff to bet on these days. So do it with BetMGM. If you're having bad luck on your old sports book or you just want to switch up your luck, download BetMGM and sign up with our bonus code A to Z Sports. New users will get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if their first bet misses. It's a great deal going on right now. If you lose that first one, don't worry about digging yourself out of a hole. Download BetMGM, use our bonus code A to Z Sports for up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
All right, so Jack, we're talking Treylon Burks today. We'll get into a more football type discussion and where we think he stands with his Titans team here in a minute. And we just played the Brian Callahan video of him not discussing or not bringing up Treylon Burks when talking about guys that need to step up at the slot position. And that's kind of where they're lacking at the wide receiver spot as of right now. But something that I was going to plan on really ignoring because I didn't think there was much to it, but I do think there's enough chatter with the chats today. I think it's mostly on Facebook. And that is the fact that people are saying, and I've seen this, that Treylon Burks showed up out of shape. And people are basing this on one clip of a video that the Titans posted on social media of Treylon Burks walking into the building from the parking garage. And it's like a 5-second clip of Treylon Burks. And people are like, oh, he's out of shape. Look at him. And like, how, I don't know how anybody can know one thing or another if somebody is in shape or out of shape by them walking in from a parking garage wearing a t-shirt. Like, there's nothing from that that makes you know if he's in shape or out of shape because of what he looks like there. There's no way to tell. He could be out of shape. He could be in shape. The point is, people screaming on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter that Treylon Burks showed up out of shape. You have no idea based off of that. So I did think it's irresponsible as fans to take something so irrelevant and just immediately say, oh, he's out of shape. Look at him. Because we don't know that.
Yeah, and the people that are giving this air, who have platforms around the city, I believe that is, admitting to your lack of creativity. If that's what we're talking about, Treylon Burks walking into the building in the middle of April and making an assessment just off the way he looks getting out of his car, I mean, what are we doing here? There's plenty of stuff to talk about, and we're choosing to go down that road right now. Treylon Burks weighed in at the combine at 225 pounds. The guy's not small. That's part of the reason why he was so attractive coming out of college is because he was big. He was able to make contested catches. He's able to break tackles. Treylon Burks is not a 215-pound receiver. He's a big dude. So whether that looks weird when he's, wearing a sweatshirt, getting out of his car, whatever, it's not a big deal. Wait till you see him run routes. Wait till you see him on the practice field in gear. Like, making this jump right now is a bit creative, and it feels like people are just taking, convenient shots at Treylon Burks because they're running out of stuff to talk about because they've already exhausted all their draft talk stuff. Like, let's do a little bit better there.
Yeah, and so somebody's like, let's show the video, show the picture. Like, I don't want to show the picture because it's stupid. It's stupid to look at a screenshot of a Treylon Burks 5-second video of him saying, "What's up, brother?" Walking into the facility.
Oh, it's amazing.
And people are like, "Oh, the dumbest thing that we could possibly do on this show today is put that picture up on the screen and analyze it. Oh, look, is he a little thick around the waist? What does his face look like?" That would be dumb as hell and a waste of time and unfair to anybody to do that based off of a screenshot of some 5-second video clip. Like, I will be on the practice field watching the Titans and OTAs in about a month. And at that point, I can tell you if Treylon Burks is running routes, doing drills, and if he looks in shape, out of shape, explosive or not explosive, or healthy or what. I will tell you that when I see it with my eyes on the practice field, wearing a helmet and a practice jersey and shorts. But him wearing a baggy t-shirt, walking in from his car saying, "What's up, brother?" for a social media stunt, I'm not going to analyze a dumb picture like that. So that is why, look, I did not want to address this, but I felt like it was too loud in the chat to just completely ignore.
And that's the thing. There are plenty of fair criticisms you can make about Treylon Burks' tenure as a Titan.
Yep.
That is not one of them.
Yes. When you see somebody on social media start talking about somebody else's weight, that's when you know that person has no other thing to go after.
Exactly.
It's like, yes, it's the easiest low-hanging fruit to attack somebody's weight or their profile picture. That means you've got nothing in the ammo to go at them that's anything of substance. Okay, enough of that. So we addressed it. We move on, and we'll look at him on the field. Okay. Nick Holtz was asked by Teron Davenport, who I see is in the chat today, about
TD.
what that Nick Holtz, the new Titans offensive coordinator, has seen from Treylon Burks over the last couple of days. And here was Teron's question and Nick Holtz's answer to it.
As you begin to get to know Treylon Burks and continue to dig into his tape, what potential does he have? Like, what can you guys do with him to really unlock that?
Treylon's potential is, very high. First round pick. Obviously, you can see all the talent, but he's going to get what he earns. You know what I mean? And he's, my 2 days with him, he's been a great guy. He seems like he's learning a lot. He's really taking in and processing all the information. And then when he gets out on the field, it's what he can translate. But he's got a skill set that, he's a big guy who can run and he can make contested catches. And so if he can find a way to do that for us, that'd be a pretty big addition.
All right. If you can come down with the contested catches and be a big guy, a great addition, and he's going to have to earn what he gets out there on the field. So I thought an interesting comment there from Nick Holtz, obviously a guy who's only been around Burks for just a few days, less than a whole week. So look, I think from that comment, I think I'm curious to really look at he's got to earn anything he gets type of comment of they have to figure out some way to motivate Treylon Burks to have him develop into a player they can rely on as a former first-round draft pick. So, Jack, before you dive into that, let's go ahead and ask the audience our question today, because I'm curious of the vocab words that the chat is going to come up with. I do not want it to be any type of in shape, out of shape type conversation. But what is one word to describe Treylon Burks' status with the Titans heading into the draft? What is one word to describe Treylon Burks' status with the Titans heading into the NFL draft? I want your opinion on this. Where do you think he's at based on some of the videos? Maybe we'll replay the Nick Holtz video before we get to some comments. But first, I'm going to tell everybody about our friends at Farm Bureau Health Plans. That is who you should plan on for all of your health coverage needs: health, dental, vision, or maybe you just need one of those things to pair along with something else you have going on with some health coverage to be better. Farm Bureau Health Plans have been serving Tennesseans for over 75 years, and they can put together a plan for you. It's not cookie cutter. It's custom. It's for what you need and how you need it based on your situation in life, whether you have a growing family, maybe your family's matured a little bit, leaving you and your spouse empty nested. You need that extra level of insurance and coverage, or maybe you're out there on your own as an independent contractor, entrepreneur, and you need that extra security, and Farm Bureau Health Plans can be that for you. They've been serving Tennesseans for so long. They invest and double down on that investment in their community across the entire state, working with the Titans, the Tennessee Vols, other colleges, universities, high schools, and that youth baseball league down the street as well. So make sure that you go get a quote and use our link when you do it to get started, fbhp.com/ATOZ.
BetMGM.com is the place to go for your sports betting needs. Like I said earlier, there's a ton of stuff going on right now. Don't miss out on any of it. There's draft props up. There's season win totals. There's divisional odds up in the NFL, all over at BetMGM.com. And that's just a few of the things that they offer over there. They're also offering a great deal right now for new users. So sign up with BetMGM and use our bonus code that you see on the screen right now, A to Z Sports, and you'll receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. It's a great deal going on right now. Start off in the green. Do it with BetMGM. Use our bonus code A to Z Sports for up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
All right, Jack, I'm going to play the Nick Holtz video again, but we asked the chat, and I'll send you to the chat a lot of comments. I'm looking at like 107 comments that have been 108 comments that have been made since asking this question to everybody right here. What's one word to describe Treylon Burks' status with the Titans heading into the draft? Real quick, let's hear again from Titans offensive coordinator Nick Holtz when asked about Burks yesterday at St. Thomas Sports Park.
As you begin to get to know Treylon Burks and continue to dig into his tape, what potential does he have? Like, what can you guys do with him to really unlock that?
Treylon's potential is, very high. First round pick. Obviously, you can see all the talent, but he's going to get what he earns. You know what I mean? And he's, my 2 days with him, he's been a great guy. He seems like he's learning a lot. He's really taking in, processing all the information. And then when he gets out on the field, it's what he can translate. But he's got a skill set that, he's a big guy who can run and he can make contested catches. And so if he can find a way to do that for us, that'd be a pretty big addition.
What he's going to get, he's going to earn there from Nick Holtz. Jack, I'll send you to the chat on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. By the way, like King VC says, hit that like button if you're watching on Facebook and on YouTube as well. And Jack will get to your comments now. What's one word to describe Treylon Burks' status with the Titans before the draft? This is something we can revisit after the draft, depending on how the draft goes at the wide receiver. So, Jack, what are people saying here?
Yeah, just a quick reminder to get those likes up. Let's get to 100. We're already at 70. We're going to start off on Facebook with Jason, who says present. Steve Jones says it's tenuous. Rooney says soft. Jesse says bust. Nick says just a guy. Clayton says bust. Andre says shaky. John uses limbo, which is a word that I was going back and forth on using. Treylon Burks' status with the Titans is in limbo right now with a new staff coming in. IR Hoshi says fine. Rashid says impeccable. Expected from
impeccable
Corey.
Standing. I was not
redonkulous from Jacob. Pending said, like I said. Last chance from Charles. Inevitable from Dre. Iffy from Bork. Depth for Jake Hughes. Overreaction from Eric. Tentatives from Curtis. Cliff says pistol. Tenuous. Cautious. Billy says questionable. Johnny says ghost. Depleting from John. Prove from St. Grizzly. Willie says done. Shaky from Yuri on YouTube. We've got limbo from Demetrius. Another limbo. Precipice from Brandon. And then we have undecided, do or die, unproven, make or break, all as one word. Irrelevant
Ken.
from
That
Darius.
is so bad, Ken. That is cheating. Like, I can understand you can hyphen some things, but Ken, we asked one word, and Ken was like, I'm going to take 3 words and sandwich them and shove them all together. Ken just took everything on his plate and made it a pile of mush and then put his spoon into it.
I like it, Ken. Hey, you're a rule breaker, buddy. All right, we've got Playworthy from Jerry, Cliff again from Pistol, Proved from VC, Dolphins from Lou Man, replaceable, irrelevant, leashed, questionable, wide receiver 3, uncertain, questioned. So a lot of negative words
Yes.
thrown around about Treylon Burks, and I understand the frustration. Look,
So,
my word is
this is hold on before you get to your word, because Anthony had a funny comment, said that Jack is in limbo about having his word be limbo.
yeah, no, you're exactly right. Great comment. So I moved off of limbo, and I'm saying convincing, because Treylon Burks has to be convincing this season, not just in the regular season. He, like Nick Holtz said, he has to prove it in training camp. He's got to have a convincing training camp. He's got to be firing on all cylinders from day one when he walks into that building this summer. He's got to be ready to roll. And look, it would be foolish for the Titans to bank on Treylon Burks being available for the entire season and contribute out of the out of whatever position they line him up in for the regular season. We have a 22 game sample size from Burks, and he's only accumulated 1 touchdown, 665 yards, and 84 catches. That's not going to get it done, and that's not enough to walk into training camp under a new coaching staff and just have your spot handed to you. They're going to draft a receiver, probably in the second round. And when they do, Treylon Burks is going to have to earn his snaps over this newcomer. And it's easy for the Titans fans to give up on Treylon Burks, but the potential that we saw out of Treylon Burks in Arkansas is enough to make me take a second and take a breath and say, you know what? I get it. He's been unhealthy. Injuries have popped up. He hasn't had consistency at quarterback, new regimes, coaching staff changes. All of that leads to, I'm not making excuses for him, leads to an inconsistent effort out of Treylon Burks at wide receiver. But when you look at the Arkansas stuff, he lined up in the slot 77% of the snaps in Arkansas. 77% of the time, Treylon Burks was doing damage out of the slot. With the Titans, Treylon Burks is lined up in the slot just 26% of his snaps. So that is a stark difference between those two numbers. And we have a massive dip in production as a result of this. So I think that if you just put him in a position to where he can succeed, use him as a Tyler Boyd, like Brian Callahan did in Cincinnati.
I think Tyler Boyd and Burks are very different. Tyler Boyd is more of a traditional slot. Burks is a non-traditional slot where he's a slot fade guy, a slot go ball. It's not the same type of Kyle Phillips, Mason Kinsey slot. But
sure.
If he was
third option in the slot is kind of what I'm going for.
Gotcha.
Because Tyler Boyd was running the 3 up there, and that's where Treylon Burks is going to be this year if he earns the 3 spot. Like, that's not going to be guaranteed for him. But you line him up in the slot, and then we'll talk. Okay, I just want to see them put him in a position to succeed that caters to his strengths, like Brian Callahan's so good at everywhere he's been at. So if Treylon Burks can line up in the slot consistently and produce, I'll be fine with it. But we've got to see more. And in order to see more, he's got to stay healthy. That's all part of this conversation.
So your one word again is
convincing. Treylon Burks has a lot of convincing to do in training camp leading up to the season.
All right. So, Ryan says Burks is over 6 foot. We brought him in to replace AJ. He needs to be outside. Look, and yes, ideally, widers, excuse me, my goodness. Ideally, wide receivers that are drafted in the first round can play just about anywhere. And A.J. Brown was good in the slot here in Tennessee. Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins have both been able to play the slot. I remember vividly a touchdown catch that Calvin Ridley had against the Titans last year was one of those red zone slot fades. So you want those guys to all be interchangeable. That's when an offense is going to be at its best, is when you have 3 wide receivers that can do just about anything. But we talk about this all the time with what is the guy's go-to? What's the bread and butter? What is their main thing? What is their bucket, right? When a basketball team is down 2, there's late in the game, they got to score in this possession. What's the play? Who do you go to and how do you get it there? And what is Treylon Burks' go-to? I don't know. Because is it a go route? He hasn't come down with enough of those contested catches down the field for me to trust that that's a good spot. Is it a quick bubble screen? He hasn't shown me the ability consistently to break the first tackle or make the first guy miss to gain yards after the catch. I don't know. I don't know what it is. And so it's hard to say, I don't know what this guy does best. And you're going into year 3 and it's a new coaching staff. You get something to react to that point?
Andre's comment. Burks' go-to is the blue tint. And to be fair, Treylon Burks has missed way too much time. I mean, you draft a guy in the first round like that, especially with the way the A.J. Brown situation played out, he's got to at least be on the field. And if he is on the field, I believe he'll get into a rhythm. I truly feel like that injury in Philadelphia really put a cap on what he's been able to do here, because I thought that was the point where he was going to hit his stride. That was a prove-it game for Treylon Burks, and he was stepping up at that point in the game. But getting that concussion, missing a lot of time, I feel like it's easy to get down on yourself and lose confidence in your abilities just because, like, right when you start to feel like you got it, you lose it all. And that's the mental side of football. And Treylon Burks has to conquer that side as well as the physical side. I believe he will conquer the physical side and will stay healthy, but he's got to conquer the mental side of the game. And that's been his big issue. And if he wants to be a playmaker in this offense, he's going to have to make plays this spring, this summer, and, up into the fall, and then his confidence will come back. But until then, he's got to really work on the mental side of his game and just get that confidence back. And I feel like things will go much more smoothly once that happens.
So I think there are 3 injuries specifically that have derailed any Treylon Burks momentum, because Kenny Hill says Burks had 1 concussion. That's inaccurate. Burks has had 2 concussions, and they've both been very significant, because you mentioned the one against Philadelphia, his rookie year. If we go back and kind of remember the stretch that he was on against the Green Bay Packers, that infamous night that the Titans beat Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau, and then on the flight home, Todd Downing decides to drive home and gets the DUI, and that was the last time the Titans won on the road in over a calendar year, right? But Treylon Burks had a big game against Green Bay. He caught big balls down the field, and he had a breakout performance and really put that game on ice with a big catch from Ryan Tannehill. The very next week was right after Thanksgiving, Treylon Burks against the Bengals at Nissan Stadium, another 40-yard plus catch, another really solid big game for a rookie. The following week, Treylon Burks catches his first touchdown catch in his career, gets hit in the face in the end zone by Marcus Epps from the Eagles, holds on to it. Really the only touchdown of the day for the Titans, but concussed and misses several weeks. So that's the first injury that derailed Treylon Burks. Then you have the one in Minnesota where he was having a fantastic training camp last year. He goes up to Minnesota, blows by the DB, wide open for a deep touchdown catch from Ryan Tannehill. After the catch, trying to regain his balance, stumbling. He steps wrong, knee buckles, sprains something in his knee, and that has him miss the next 3 weeks of practice and the preseason altogether. That derailed him. Then the concussion, the scary situation, Thursday Night Football in Pittsburgh, towards the end of the game when he needed to get carted off, and we didn't see him for a while, which led to Mike Vrabel saying that they just needed Treylon Burks to run and to, kind of sweat a little bit and get it going against the Miami Dolphins. And he had like 10 plays. He ran a bunch of yards, but came nowhere close to getting a target. And so you saw those 3 injuries, 2 significant concussions, and the knee sprain in practice at Minnesota that really shut off any type of momentum that Treylon Burks had to that point.
And, a big contentious point with the fans over the last few years has been the soft tissue injuries, the hamstrings from Christian Fulton. David Long couldn't stay healthy, and because of that, he's now a Dolphin. Led the Dolphins in tackles last year. Anyways, before I start to reopen that wound, Treylon Burks and concussion, like you cannot prehab, you cannot prepare yourself for concussions. Concussions happen. There's nothing you can do to train your brain to be able to take hits to the head like that. So these, Treylon Burks' injury issues from the concussion standpoint are completely out of his control. It would be great to see him on the field more, but there's not a whole lot he can do about getting knocked out. And that's a big part of why his production and confidence is down, right? He hasn't been on the field a lot, but there's nothing he can do about getting knocked out. There's just nothing. It's football. Like, there's nothing he can do in the offseason to prepare himself for that. Like, Tua had to take judo classes and just to give the fans like a little bit of hope that he can stay healthy every time his head hits the ground. Like, I don't know that that's going to work out for Tua, but the concussion stuff is out of Treylon Burks' control, and I feel like people need to understand that. I don't think he gets enough slack for those types of injuries.
Yeah, they've been significant. And, Devin says, I can't believe we're so bored that we're talking about Burks. This is not that. This is not that at all, Devin. And I think that's the point of the show. Based on the analytics of our content, Treylon Burks was the most discussed thing that came out of that press conference yesterday by the fans, and the most clicked on thing, engaged with item when it comes to that press conference yesterday. That's why we're discussing Treylon Burks today, because of what was said from Brian Callahan, not mentioning Treylon Burks when saying the slot is where they need somebody to step up, and mentioning 3 guys, none of them Burks. And then when Teron Davenport asked Nick Holtz about him, saying he's going to earn anything he gets. And if he can come down with contested catches down the field, that would be a big addition for this team. So my one word for Treylon Burks' status with the Titans before the draft is ticking. The clock is ticking. And I don't know when the clock runs out. It's if you've got some type of expiration date and the clock is ticking and you can hear it, but I don't visually see what the expiration date is or what the time is left on the clock. I hear the clock. I don't know how much is left, because who do they draft? Where do they draft them? How does minicamp OTAs go? How does training camp go? And when does Treylon Burks' clock run out? Is it in the summer, in the season, after the season? Does he extend his clock? I don't know, but that thing's ticking, and he's got to hear it too, because I want to see Treylon Burks have some urgency. I don't want him to press. I want there to be some type of urgency with the guy as he's going and trying to keep his NFL career going, right? That is what I want to see.
Yeah, and with the pressure, I believe provides an opportunity for him to really start to feel good about himself again. Because if he performs in training camp, where they're in a lot of pressure from the fans and nobody's keeping stats in training camp, if he's able to perform under the pressure with another wide receiver in the building that the Titans just drafted, that's going to give him a little bit more of an edge heading into the regular season. But you're totally right. The sand in the hourglass on Treylon Burks is running out right now, and he's got to figure out a way to flip that thing back around.
Man, were you a Days of Our Lives guy, Jack?
No, absolutely not.
But you just basically quoted the intro of that great soap opera. Did you even know that you did that?
No. Did I go verbatim? That would be kind of weird.
The sands in the hourglass. It was very well done. I thought maybe
it is. It's running out.
When Jack was being watched by grandma or something, the Days of Our Lives was on in the background, and Jack just osmosis picked that thing up from the 90s. I don't know.
There could be some subliminal stuff going on there. Some subconscious.
It was very well done by you, completely on accident. All right, so I want to get to a super chat before we get to our next question about Treylon Burks. Noah comes in with a big 1999 discussing the go-to part of Treylon Burks' game. His go-to has always been drag, slant, fade, crosser. He has to become a high-volume underneath guy. This offseason with Levis should help. Remember, Levis was QB3 in the summer, and he did not get reps with Treylon much. Good point. But you know who else didn't get reps with Levis that much last summer? DeAndre Hopkins. And what happened the first time they did? 3 touchdowns happened in a game against the defense that at the time was ranked in the top half of the league. So I think excuses there. It can be done, but I want to see some urgency from Treylon Burks.
Absolutely. He's got to come out and he's got to prove it. And he's got to make big plays and big moments. And he needs to have a game. You know what? I'm actually going to save this for our next topic. We'll talk about this here in a minute.
Okay. All right. I like that. I like it. All right. So what is the key to Treylon Burks having a bounce back season for the Titans? And maybe Jack has something up his sleeve for this. What is the key for Treylon Burks to have a bounce back season with the Tennessee Titans? But before we do that, I have a feeling one aspect is going to be a part of people's answers here. The Bone and Joint Institute can help with your injuries that occur in life or sports, intramural sports, maybe your son or daughter, hopefully not, but injuries happen in sports, and you got to make sure that you know where you can turn to and who you can trust to help you out with those injuries to get you back on the road to recovery. Don't let it linger too much. I will say this, got to get to the draft, got to get through this month, and I need to get my knee checked out at the Bone and Joint Institute. Going to make some plans for that in early May to make sure I don't do anything stupid during that time, or I'm not trying to push through something that needs some attention. So the Bone and Joint Institute, they can take care of you. I've used them for years. Like my guy who did my knee surgery 15 years ago, Dr. Scott Arthur, one of the main guys over at the Bone and Joint Institute in Franklin. I've seen him for a shoulder injury. Talked to Dr. Jeff Watson for some plantar fasciitis a couple years ago. Haven't had any flare-ups with that since he educated me on how to handle that at home with my workouts and exercise to make sure there. Then probably going to go see my guy, Dr. Scott Arthur, again for this knee situation coming up soon. But make sure you know where to turn. They have the experts in all the one facility under one roof to help you out with the resources and the clinics, the testing, the imaging, the surgery centers, all right there as well, right off of I-65 and Highway 96 in Franklin, online at boneandjointtn.org.
BetMGM.com is the perfect place to get some skin in the game if you're looking for a little action this April. If you have a feeling about the draft, maybe a position that the Titans are going after, maybe you have a good feeling about their chances in the AFC South, get on BetMGM and throw some money down, man. BetMGM.com, use code A to Z Sports. You'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. You do not want to miss out on this offer. Sign up using bonus code A to Z Sports. Get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification. Eligible requirements. First online money wager only. Rewards issued and eligible bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And for problem game of sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Okay, Jack. Question here for everybody involved. Hit that like button, please. That goes a long way. Facebook is getting closer to 100 likes on the show. There's no reason why Facebook can't have 100 likes on the show. So King VC always doing the great duty for us, telling people to like that show on YouTube and Facebook. So, Jack, what is the key to Treylon Burks having a bounce back season for the Titans this year?
Titans Kyle on YouTube is going to start us off by staying healthy. Hello Ladies believes the key is Levis. Linwood says staying healthy. Brian Callahan from Brad Anderson. Major keys. I don't like this guy. He needs to take football seriously. This is not Vic Beasley that we're talking about here. Treylon Burks, by all accounts, takes football extremely seriously, and you see that when he gets down on himself after negative things happen. I just think he puts a little too much pressure on himself. I don't think that he doesn't take it seriously enough. I think that's foolish to believe that. Bork says health. Johnny says effort. Just go out there and do you, says Orlando. Being traded from Clayton. Oh, my. Brian Callahan's scheme is the key. O-line giving Levis more time inherently creates more time for Treylon Burks to get open down the field. Grim Jim, I like it. The key to stay awake. Burks needs reps and coaching to regain his confidence. Actually being good, being utilized correctly from Noah Leak. That goes back to the slot stuff. 77% of his snaps in Arkansas out of the slot. In Tennessee, just 26% of the snaps out of the slot. Staying healthy from Willie. Not getting lost in the depth chart. Health, Brian Callahan. Health and opportunity. Great words from Steve Jones. Coaching is key to a bounce back. Levis staying upright. We've got opposing teams focusing on Ridley and Hopkins, and that's a great comment from Danny Whitson. Richie says, stop dropping the ball when it's thrown to him. The drops will have been an issue. Health, Callahan, Tyke Tolbert, D-Hop, Ridley, Levis, Patrick Bird's laying it all out there. All those things are great for Treylon Burks if they can all happen. New offense is a contributing factor. Mindset, new coaches. Okay, we'll stop it there.
I found one. It's
Okay.
I don't think it's serious, but it said stop playing in Pennsylvania, and it just kind of clicked. I was like, oh, both the Treylon Burks concussions have been in the state of Pennsylvania, which is interesting that's how that worked out. So, Jack, I know you were kind of saving something for this conversation, so I'll let you have the floor.
I think it's red zone opportunities for Treylon Burks. I think that's what he needs to do to get back on track. 1 touchdown in 22 games played. And last season, like Nick Westbrook-Akine would pop up on big third downs or in the end zone. I mean, hell, NWI has 10 touchdowns over the last 3 seasons. Why can't Treylon Burks do that? Right? Because Treylon Burks, I love NWI. He is a grinder. He's been great for the Titans. But Treylon Burks' ceiling is much higher than NWI's. The thing is, touchdowns build the most confidence. I believe that if Treylon Burks gets that monkey off his back, finds the end zone early on in the season, then that's going to help him show up down the stretch. And last year, NWI was able to get free. Chris Moore was able to get free because defenses were paying attention to DeAndre Hopkins, Derrick Henry, and Tajay Spears with Chig mixed in late in the season. There's going to be a lot more distractions on the offense for the defense, right? Like they now have to account for D-Hop, Tajay Spears, Tony Pollard, and you've got Calvin Ridley now, Chig still here. And then you've got that slot spot where, Treylon Burks has a lot of opportunity to be forgotten about by defenses and take advantage of key matchups down there. So if he's able to score touchdowns this season, 3 or 4, I truly believe that'll unlock Treylon Burks, and we'll start to see him show up in the fourth quarter of football games and be able to make big plays for his quarterback when teams are taking away DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley. So matchups are going to be big here. Using him correctly, obviously, you guys know that that's a big part of my answer here too. But I think finding the end zone early on in the 2024 season is massive for Treylon Burks' confidence.
Ah, man, look at this. I see hashtag Q on YouTube saying Burks will have the first touchdown of the season. Book it. Hey,
you
the
win some good money.
schedule isn't out yet, but hashtag Q is saying for the Titans season opener, Jack, Titans first touchdown of the game prop, Treylon Burks.
That would be
BetMGM.
something.
That would be something.
BetMGM code A to Z Sports.
Yes, exactly. For that, and look, you can, if hashtag Q wants to do that, up to $1,500 back on that. So hashtag Q, you can put $1,500 or up to that on Treylon Burks for the Titans' first touchdown, and that whatever that game is, probably going to be like, is that a plus 4 digits bet, Jack?
Oh, hell yeah.
Titans first, not game's first touchdown score, but Titans' first touchdown score. Because you've got so many Hopkins, Ridley, Pollard, Spears. Who else is before? Chig, NWI. I don't think.
Whoever they draft.
Yeah. Joe Alt. I mean, but seriously, like, that would be a big bet if that's what you guys want to do. Did get a couple comments that I saw. Who's Teasy? You got something else?
Yeah, we'll get to who's Teasy first, and then I'll pull it
Okay.
out.
Who's Teasy says 900 to 1,000 yard season is the key. Look, that's the result. That's the result that Teasy's looking for. How do you get to that? And I think that's where I'm going to start with it, is that Blake says Burks has 6 weeks to produce or he'll get traded. 2024 is a short leash. Leash was almost my one word when I went with ticking. And Grim Jim says, as a first rounder, this is his last chance. And I think both those guys are onto something. And somebody else commented this. I just couldn't go back and find it to give the name. And the fact is, Treylon Burks is going into year 3. The 5th-year option is going to be decided after this season. If Treylon Burks, who is by far nowhere near on pace to getting his 5th-year option picked up by the Titans, what is he going to have to do for that to happen? I don't know. Have 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. And if somebody else gets hurt, he steps up in that void. I don't necessarily see there being a path for that, but it's the urgency that I mentioned. But I'm going to say the key to Treylon Burks having a bounce back season for the Titans, and I think it's becoming a gym rat. And I don't know if he has started this process or not. I know he was working out with DeAndre Hopkins previously this offseason, but I think becoming a gym rat is a good step for Treylon Burks to have a breakout bounce back season. And if you are a gym rat, you're going to be in shape, conditioned. You're going to work on injury prevention. You're going to work on your craft as a player for your position. And you're going to have that type of dedication, motivation that hopefully translates into urgency, that translates into playing confidently to make plays for this team. To go back to what Nick Holtz said, he's going to have to earn what he gets. You earn it by being a gym rat. You make plays by having confidence in yourself. And that is what the Titans need him to do. Make contested catches down the field, score points, create and convert first downs. But I think all of that starts for Burks being a gym rat. That means physically and mentally love the game as hard as you possibly can in this offseason. Throw everything you got at it. Because as people pointed out, this season could be the difference in a lot of money for Treylon Burks down the road.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And big plays and big moments for Treylon Burks. That's what we need to see this year. He doesn't need the 900 to 1,000-yard season like Teasy said. Blake Duncan said he needs 6 to 8 touchdowns. I think all of that is a little bit out of reach. And sure, those are the expectations you throw on a first-round wide receiver, but we now have 22 games to go off of Treylon Burks in the NFL. And to put a 1,000-yard season with 6 to 8 touchdowns as the expectation for Burks this year is a bit out of touch, I think, with the reality of the situation.
With Ridley and Hopkins healthy, there's no way that's happening.
Will Levis is not going to throw for 5,000 yards.
Like the odds of Ridley and Hopkins both having 1,000 yards is not very high.
Yeah, so the 900 to 1,000 yards, 6 to 8 touchdowns, a little bit out of touch with reality here. If he can make big plays in big situations and maybe find his way to a 650-yard season, 700-yard season with 3, 4, 5 touchdowns, I think a lot of people would be really happy with that because we all expect Calvin Ridley and D-Hop to go tandem 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
so you get 650, 700 with a few touchdowns out of Treylon Burks, and your offense has done a lot.
I think it's what it looks like because we understand. I think we have to go into this, and this is like I'm asking this of the Titans fan base, and we'll probably have to touch on this several.
Are we froze? Did we lose
back?
Austin?
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. I hear you.
Okay. I don't know what happened for a second, but so we can't expect Treylon Burks to put up first-round draft pick numbers this season. That's not the situation. What you can expect from Treylon Burks is to be efficient with the opportunities that he gets. I think that's where you have to really feel Treylon Burks' impact is average 15 yards a catch. Catch 65, 70% of the targets that come your way. So I think that's the situation there. I don't know what happened with my internet, but I hope I'm back and I hope I'm clear.
And, a trio of 1,000-yard receivers does not happen often. In fact, the last time it happened was in 2008 with the Cardinals. Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden, and Steve Breston. Shout out Steve Breston. So that was the last time a trio of receivers all eclipsed 1,000 yards. Now, 900 yards is a little bit more feasible. At least that's what history says. The Vikings did it last year. TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, and Justin Jefferson all went over 900 yards. Keenan Allen, Eckler, and Mike Williams did it in 2019 for the Chargers. Edelman, Gronk, LaFell in 2014. Graham, Colston, Lance Moore, 2012. Actually, 3 teams did it in 2012. So 900, sure. But that's not exactly the offense the Titans are in right now. We'll see what it looks like with Callahan. But the 900 to 1,000-yard expectation with Treylon Burks, let's pump the brakes there a little bit.
Yeah, agree. And, the Vikings did it probably because they were losing a lot of games. Kirk Cousins got hurt. Justin Jefferson was hurt a lot, which gave Addison more opportunity. So there's context behind those situations there. So, all right, Jack, look, I think a really good conversation that we've had about Treylon Burks. I hope people are going to have good convos about this. Kick It to the King did have a super chat here. Says, we talked about it before free agency. Treat this roster like Burks isn't on the roster until he shows consistently in camp and in the preseason. I mean, yeah, I think anything that Treylon Burks gets you is a bonus. So
And
I
that's
think
the
that's
expectation, right?
unfortunate.
That's a proper expectation for what we've seen in 22 games with Treylon Burks.
Yes. Noah has this. I don't really understand what it is, but it's a super chat, so we read it. At my super chat from a few weeks ago, next time, Jack. Dang, man.
Just no clue what he's talking about.
I don't understand either.
Sorry, Noah.
My super chat.
Great minds think alike, though. We can take that home with us.
Maybe you referenced one of his super chats from a few weeks ago and he's agreeing with you, dang, man. I don't know.
I don't know. But who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Simply have no idea.
All right, Jack. It is that time that we always fear, and that is the magic bucket. Here we do it. At Wilson County Hyundai, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or check them out online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. It is magic bucket time. I've got the bucket here for everybody. All right. So,
all right. Noah says it was the 3 1,000-yard receivers. All right. I've got Wikipedia pulled up. So that's where I got my info, Noah. JR
was on this thing.
Jack, are you a Titans fan first or follow another team? Come on, JR. You know better. You know better than to ask that question. I'm all Titans all the time, baby.
Yeah. Do you listen to the Tighten Up podcast? Because if you don't, then you should.
Yeah, I said
all
we
right.
a little too many times this week. All right, what do we got here?
Who went first last week? Do you remember?
I think you pulled for yourself first.
Okay, so this is for you?
Yes.
Man, last Thursday feels like a long time ago.
I know. I was thinking that when I was setting it up today.
Ooh, this is great for you, Jack. This is perfect. It's actually been great for both of us because my team was very close to this recently. What daily activity would you sacrifice in order for your favorite team to win a championship? Daily activity. So I'll let you keep thinking because that takes serious thought. Daily activity to sacrifice. So something that you do that you would have to give up for your team to win a championship.
Stephen King, I agree. Breathing. I would die if my team won it. I would die for my team. Let's see. How about this? I would give up. I would eat one meal a day for an entire year if the Titans won the Super Bowl. I would give up breakfast and lunch. Daily activity, right?
How many meals a day do you currently eat?
2.5, probably. You know, I try and jam it all in this little 8-hour window, the intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
But, I'm not as consistent as I should be there. But I would give up both breakfast and lunch, just eat a massive dinner every single day in order for the Titans to win a Super Bowl.
It would probably be better to eat a
Jet going full Ramadan. I guess so. I don't really know the habits or the practice, but
so one meal a day for you guys are. Some people are just being gross,
out of pocket.
Yeah, come on, guys. So,
oh my gosh,
for a year. Yeah, okay.
My face is red from laughing so hard.
Yeah, I know. Just the chat does not need to be read. And look, this isn't about the chat. My magic bucket pulled, Jack. I'm contemplating something. Should I not tell anybody what it is so you show up to the show tomorrow and you see it? Or should I tell you what it is so you look forward to it? Or I could just tease you guys and not tell you what I pulled because it will happen tomorrow morning on the show.
I'm
says,
fine
let
with
it.
it. Yeah. I
Steven
think
says,
we
let it be a surprise. Orlando says, tell us.
All right, chat. We need more opinions. We're split 50-50 right now. Maybe a hint, and then you show up in full regalia.
Orlando says, tell us or we boycott. Orlando, I will call your bluff and say, if I don't tell you, you are 1000% going to be in the YouTube waiting room before. So we're getting really split answers.
Oh my
on
God. Some of
this.
you guys.
It is
some of you guys
something,
need therapy.
and look, it's not dress up as Santa. I already did that. It is something that will be visual on tomorrow's show.
I look, this is just
What do
my
you think,
opinion.
Jack?
I think you holster it.
Okay.
I think you holster it and then you show up, and that's the shock value of tomorrow's show.
Okay, there you go. And I won't even tell Sam. Sam will just pop on here before the show and be like, oh, okay, that's what's happening today. All right, sounds good.
Perfect. I think that'll be great.
All right, that is it. We will find out what the Magic Bucket told me to do tomorrow morning, 8 Central. Don't forget, hit that like button like King VC says. Like the show on Facebook, like it on YouTube. Oh, we're so close. 4 away on Facebook. 4 of you guys watching, hit the like button to get us over that 100 mark before we wrap up the show. Buck Rising will be live tonight for A to Z Sports Prime Time as a Thursday, wrapping up his week. So check out everything we've got. Sam's 2-round mock draft that we'll probably discuss tomorrow is out there, A to Z Sports.com. Boom, over 100 on Facebook. Appreciate you guys. And we'll check you guys out later on. See you tomorrow. Appreciate it as always.
Tighten up pod out now, you